This is a very important foundational calculus question in any calculus class. It says this: find the equation of the tangent to the function y equals 4x over cos squared x when x equals pi over 3. Let's look at the steps. We're going to determine the derivative, and once we've done that, we're going to sub x equals pi over 3 into the derivative, which is going to give us the slope of the tangent to that point. We're going to then sub that into the original function to get the y value, and finally find the y-intercept by subbing that into y equals mx plus b. So step 1, determine the derivative. We want to start by recognizing that cos squared x is written as cos of x all squared. That 2 inside doesn't mean it's just the cos that's squared, it's all of cos x that's squared, because cos has to operate on the x before it's being squared. Now that can be written with a negative exponent by bringing that to the numerator, and now we can use the product rule to be able to actually go ahead and calculate the derivative for that. Now the other thing you could do is you could also write it out as 4x over the cos x all squared, and you could use the quotient rule. And I'm going to do that both ways, so you can see both in this video, and you can see the timestamps down below. If you know how to do one way and you want to see the other, you can skip ahead to that portion of the video. Let's start with the product rule. The product rule says that the derivative is equal to the derivative of the first part of the function, f, times g, plus the derivative of the second part of the function, g, times f. So we take the derivative of 4x, and it's 4, and then g is cos x to the negative 2. And we take the derivative of cos x to the negative 2, the derivative of g, which is negative 2 times cos of x to 1 degree less, so it's negative 3. And then we take the derivative of the inside now, which is negative sine x, is the derivative of cos x. And then we multiply that by f, which is 4x. Now we're going to get common factors out to the front of each of those terms. So the first term isn't going to change, but the second term will. The negative 2 times the 4x at the end gives me negative 8x. So I'm going to write it as minus 8x. And then I have cos x to the negative 3. And then you'll also note that there's still the negative attached to the sign. And so that negative that's in front of the sign can be multiplied by the negative 8x and make that positive 8x. So now we can go ahead and common factor a 4 out of both the terms, and we want to common factor out the lowest power of the cos x, which is negative 3. So the first term is just going to be left with a cos x, and the second term is going to be 2x times sine x, and you can expand that back out to get the line above it if you need to. We're going to come back to that negative 3 on the cos x later, but let's look at the quotient rule now. The quotient rule says that the derivative is equal to f prime g minus g primed f divided by g squared, where f is the numerator and g is the denominator. The derivative of 4x is just 4. Then we multiply that by g, which is cos x all squared. Then we subtract g primed, or the derivative of g, which is 2 times cos x to a power of 1 less, which is 1. And the derivative of cos x by the chain rule is negative sine x. Then we multiply that by f, which is 4x. Then we divide that by the denominator squared, g squared. So cos x squared all squared. And I can simplify some things here. I'm going to first common factor out of the numerator. And so I can take a 4 and a cos x out of both terms in the numerator. Noting as well that when I multiply the two negatives together, it gives me a positive. And I'm left with 2 times x times sine x in the numerator. Again, you could expand that back out to see how it would give you the line above. Now the denominator ends up being cos x to the power of 4. Now that at first glance does not look like what we have on the left. Let's go ahead and write this out with a negative 3 as a positive exponent. So we bring that to the denominator, right, as cos x cubed. And then what we have in the square brackets is the same as what we have by using the quotient rule. Now notice that the quotient rule, though, we get this extra power of cos x in the numerator and denominator. So really, we get the exact same result. So it doesn't matter what way you do it, whether you use the product or quotient rule, you get the same thing. So with that derivative, let's move to step 2, and that's using the x equals pi over 3 and subbing it into the derivative. That's going to give us the slope of the tangent at that point. So you can see there, everywhere I had x, I'm replacing that with pi over 3. And then I'm dividing on the denominator by cos of pi over 3 all cubed. Very important that the cube doesn't just apply to the pi over 3, it applies to the cos of the pi over 3. So let's consider our unit circle for a minute. Our unit circle is a radius of 1 unit, and because of that, the coordinates of the points on that are going to be the x-coordinate followed by the y-coordinate, which are the cos of an angle and the sine of an angle. And so for pi over 3, we have the point 1/2 and root 3 over 2, where the x-coordinate is the cos of that angle, and the y-coordinate is the sine of that angle. So we can use the 1/2 and the root 3 over 2, and we can sub those in where we see cos of pi over 3 or sine of pi over 3. Now you might say, well, can't I just put this in your calculator? But if you do, it's not going to give you an exact answer most times. So I'm going to put the 1/2 in for cos of pi over 3. I'm going to put the root 3 over 2 in place of the sine of pi over 3. And in the denominator, I'm going to have 1/2 to the power of 3. So now what I want to do is simplify this and keep it exact. So noting that I can get I can cancel out the 2 in the numerator and denominator rather here. And I'm left with root 3 times pi over 3. The denominator, though, becomes 1 over 8. 1 cubed is 1, 2 cubed is 8. That gives me the following. I can multiply that by the reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 1/8 means I'm going to multiply by 8 over 1. And I can get a common denominator with the two fractions inside the brackets. So I'm going to multiply by 3 over 3 and by 2 over 2, respectively. Now the 4 times 8, the 4 out front times the 8 at the end gives me 32. And then when I get that common denominator, I get 3 plus 2 root 3 times pi all over 6. Now you'll notice that that 6 on the bottom and the 32 in the numerator, you can divide both of those by 2, which gives us 16 times, in brackets, 3 plus 2 root 3 pi all over 3. So that means that the derivative at x equals pi over 3 is the slope, which is that value, exactly. So as I said, you could put that in your calculator and round it, but that's the exact value that we want. So now I'm going to sub x equals pi over 3 into the original function to get the y value of the point that I need to substitute into y equals mx plus b. So I have 4 times x, so I've replaced x with pi over 3, and then cos of pi over 3 all squared in the bottom. So I get 4 pi over 3, and in the denominator, I get 1 over 2 all squared. Now 1 over 2 squared is a quarter, so 4 pi over 3, all divided by 1/4. Now I can multiply it by the reciprocal just like I did before. So 4 pi over 3 times 4 over 1, which gives me 16 pi over 3. So now I have a point. I have a point that is pi over 3 and 16 pi over 3. And I have a slope that's on my left side of my screen. And I'm going to put all these together in the equation y equals mx plus b. And that will allow us to determine the y-intercept, determine the b value. So there's our y equals mx plus b. Y is 16 pi over 3. The slope is 16 times the bracket 3 plus 2 root 3 pi all over 3. The x value is pi over 3, so we're multiplying that by pi over 3, plus b. We want to solve for that b value, that y-intercept. In order to solve that, I'm going to multiply the 16 times the pi over 3 on the right side. But I'm also going to note that the 3 times 3 in the denominator is going to give me a denominator of 9. Because the order of multiplication doesn't matter, I can write that whole thing over 9. Now on the other side, I have 16 pi over 3, which is not a common denominator. What I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the numerator and denominator by 3. That doesn't change the fraction, it just makes it have a common denominator with the other side. So that gives me 48 pi over 9. And I'm going to subtract 16 pi. And I'm going to break this up here in a moment, but we have 3 plus 2 root 3 pi all over 9. And that's equal to b. I've subtracted that whole fraction that was on the right side to get b by itself. So now what I'm going to do is separate what I have in that second fraction right now into two separate terms. So I have the 48 pi over 9, not changing that I had initially, but now I'm going to subtract 16 pi times 3 all over 9, which gives me 48 pi over 9. And then I'm going to multiply the negative 16 pi also times 2 root 3 pi. And that's going to give me 32 times root 3 times pi squared. Pi times pi squared, all divided by 9. And what you'll notice is the 48 pi's over 9 cancel out, and you're just left with a b value of negative 32 times pi squared, root 3 all over 9. And now what I can do is I can write out my y equals mx plus b equation with my slope m and with my y-intercept b as my final equation. And so the equation becomes this: y equals 16 times the 3 plus 2 root 3 pi over 3 times x minus 32 pi squared root 3 all over 9. And that is the exact equation. Now, sometimes it's helpful to have a better idea of what those numbers are if you were to graph that. And so you could round those, and what you get if you'd round those, you'd get a rounded slope of 74.04 and a y-intercept of negative 60.78. If you want more practice about how to calculate derivatives, check out the video on the left. For a playlist of calculus and vectors videos that I'm continuing to add to, check out the playlist on the right. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope that was helpful.